Hey, we are talking about offices, landlords, property management, all of that kind of stuff this week. Here's a great basic question that we do not spend enough time creating for ourselves. What questions should you ask potential landlords? A lot of us go into it and we're like, we'll just sign the lease they hand us. So first, I'll thank TherapyNotes for sponsoring us. Thanks, guys. And let's talk about some of the things you can negotiate in your lease, ask for, that kind of thing. Questions to ask when you're touring. Things that I have asked for in leases, I've asked for right of first refusal. So if you plan to expand in any way, you can ask people, your landlord, not just random people, you can ask your landlord or property management company if you can have right of first refusal on any office that comes available in your building. So that means before they can rent that out to anybody else or even advertise that they're renting it, they have to come to you and say, hey, we got this space available, do you want it? And that way you can either refuse or take it. I have also negotiated in sublease agreements in places that initially said that subleases were not going to be allowed. I feel very strongly about subleasing because otherwise we've got these offices that are just sitting empty for almost half the working week for most people. And there are therapists in most communities who are actively looking for offices, and it just feels both inefficient and a waste of time and energy in decorating a space that's not getting used to its fullest extent. So I have negotiated in the ability to sublease. You might want to ask about rent increases, the term of your lease, meaning like how long it lasts. Some people, let's say you have a 3-year lease, written within some leases is the ability to increase your lease every year within those 3, or increase your rent every year within those 3 years, which I didn't know. I thought if you have a 3-year lease, you've got this price locked in, but that's not how it works all the time. So ask about the term of the lease and rent increases. Ask if you're required to have general liability insurance, which is also called slip and fall. That's different from our malpractice insurance. It basically means if somebody breaks their leg in the parking lot, you and the building are covered. Ask if this is what's called a triple net or a full service lease. Now, I have somebody that I know accidentally signed a triple net lease. What's common for us is full service. That's where you like rent a space. Usually the utilities are paid for, maybe not internet, but usually most of the utilities are paid for. With triple net, you're responsible if the boiler breaks, you got to pay to fix that. You're paying the property taxes on top of your lease amount. So it's a lot more expensive, and there's a lot more responsibility in a triple net lease. And while they're not common for us, if you are looking at a larger space, for instance, if you're a group practice owner or you're wanting to sublease, please make sure you ask that question. Or if somebody says triple net, I want you to know what that means so that you can determine if that's the best fit for you. Ask if utilities are included. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. What is the door locking situation? Is it on a timer so that it locks every night at 8 p.m. and you don't have to worry about it when you leave? Or is it the responsibility of the last person out to lock the door? And if it is the responsibility of the last person out, how in the world do you determine who the last person out is? Who cleans the building? What's common for our industry, from what I've seen, is the common spaces might be cleaned on the landlord's dime, but your personal space might not be. Any safety or security issues that are relevant to where it is and you and your clients, that's something to ask about. Who controls the air conditioning and the heater? We all have battles with that, right? Or we have had in different jobs. So knowing if you need to bring an extra sweater, like me, or if you need to wear a tank top so that you can kind of like cool off in between sessions or stay cool during sessions. Who cleans the bathroom, who stocks the bathroom is also something to consider. The soundproof situation. If you can be in the room that you're considering renting in the middle of the day when life is going on, and you can maybe have the landlord be in the waiting room and talking and vice versa, so that you can get an idea of what the soundproofing situation is, I think that's going to be pretty important. What is the notification around maintenance? We talked the other day about like maintenance just coming in session to clean out air filters. Obviously not a situation any of us want to have to deal with. So getting really clear about how is maintenance done? What is the notification system for that? How negotiable is that? How quickly should you expect the landlord to respond to requests or concerns you have? That's something you should also ask. If you hire a real estate attorney, they can write in what's called a rent abatement. And that means that if your landlord doesn't fix something necessary that needs to be fixed for you to be able to do your job, like if it's the summer and your air conditioning goes out and it's their responsibility to fix it and they don't fix it for 2 weeks, that a rent abatement means you don't have to pay your full rent during that time because they're not holding up their end of the deal. If you plan to be somewhere for a good long while, I would highly recommend having a real estate attorney look at the rental agreement. I learned a lot. This is not something I've done, to be honest with you, but I learned a lot on a podcast that's coming out. I don't remember what month it's coming out, but it's coming out. And he taught me a lot about the different things you can work into your lease that we just wouldn't know to consider. Another opportunity that I think is really good and only works in certain markets, but I think you should explore it just in case, is having a realtor help you find an office space, because often there are really great spaces available that aren't being listed on Craigslist or LoopNet or Psychology Today or any of these places. These realtors are in the know, and if you're the one renting, you don't have to pay them anything. The business that you end up renting from, if you take the space, pays them. So I think that's it. That's a lot. There's a nice long list for you. We also have some scripts for some creative rent negotiations in the Abundance Party. You can check that out over at abundanceparty.com. If you have questions for Ask Allison, I'd love to answer them on here. That's at ask@abundancepracticebuilding.com. Shoot us an email. I'm happy to do my best to answer them.